families being separated from their dying loved ones. To me, that's inconceivable.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at major world events that occurred since the 2011 Fukushima disaster that had people on edge.
I think we tend to gauge how prepared we should be based on the seasonal hurricane forecast, and that's really bad advice. We have to get ready the same way every year.
2012, Hurricane Sandy.
The East Coast is being pummeled with the power of a record-breaking superstorm.
Oh my God, it's washing everything away!
90-mile-per-hour winds, driving rain, record-breaking high tides, and rough surf lash the coastline.
Nicknamed Superstorm Sandy for its massive size, this hurricane carved a path of destruction along the U.S. East Coast. The storm resulted in catastrophic flooding in New York and New Jersey. The flooding subsequently knocked out power for millions and left more than 200 people dead across several countries.
This guy at the beach was saying that, oh, this is all for nothing. The guy says, in 40 years I've lived here, nothing has happened. And this could be the one time.
Sandy's storm inundated subways, damaged critical infrastructure, and resulted in nearly $70 billion in damages. One of the most destructive storms in U.S. history, Sandy brought the realities of climate change to U.S. shores and opened new discussions about coastal resilience and flood defense systems.
Coastal communities have almost been wiped out. 8 million homes and businesses across 17 U.S. states are without power. Landlines and mobile signals are down, making contact with relatives difficult.
2013, Typhoon Haiyan hits the Philippines.
We had to organize ourselves. We had to make that tough decision to stand up on our own 2 feet.
Following in Sandy's footsteps was the megastorm Haiyan. With a fury rarely seen before, the storm passed through parts of Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines, with wind speeds exceeding 190 miles per hour, flattening towns, swallowing entire neighborhoods, and claiming more than 6,000 lives.
The Philippines is in the center of Typhoon Alley. Just like we have a tornado alley, just like we have a hurricane alley. Typhoons form in the Pacific surge right over the Philippines and into China.
Typhoon Haiyan roared into the Philippines in November 2013. The typhoon demonstrated the vulnerability of coastal communities to intense storms in a warming world. The city of Tacloban was among the worst-hit cities, with survivors describing apocalyptic scenes of destruction. Relief efforts were hindered by destroyed infrastructure and communication lines. Choked with debris and loss, Haiyan's human toll left an indelible mark on disaster response planning in the years that followed.
People waiting here are desperate to get out on any plane they can find.
This is my dad's only chance for life. I said either we have to leave tomorrow morning, today, or we're going to go somewhere else. But he needs dialysis.
2014, ISIS declares caliphate.
أقول لأمريكا إن الخلافة الإسلامية قامت وبإذن الله لن تتوقف يا جبناء إن كنتم رجال فنحن على الأرض.
ISIS announced itself on the grand stage when it created an Islamic caliphate in June 2014. The group's brutality shocked the world as it proceeded with beheadings, mass executions, and torturous enslavement. Foreign fighters joined their cause thanks to rapid territorial gains and sophisticated propaganda campaigns. The rise of the military group threw a wrench in the political landscape of the Middle East.
A new video shows them literally bulldozing the Syrian-Iraqi border. The new name, a statement. This is our new caliphate.
Destabilization followed, triggering a massive refugee crisis and prompting a global military response. ISIS sought to legitimize its rule through the establishment of its caliphate. With a radical reinterpretation of Islam, the group set off years of conflict and counter-terrorism efforts. The rise of ISIS is one of the most frightening examples of extremist movements exploding onto the world stage.
ISIS has become particularly dependent upon foreign fighters.
Analysts say it's a simple equation. The more videos are produced in English, the more threats are directed at America, the more fighters will flock to Iraq.
2015, Paris terror attack.
The first attack happened outside France's National Stadium, when 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up within 10 minutes of each other. A third suicide attack took place less than half an hour later.
November 13, 2015, in France, is remembered for one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in modern European history. ISIS-affiliated militants led coordinated assaults in Paris that targeted locations such as the Bataclan Concert Hall, cafes, and the Stade de France Stadium. The terror attacks resulted in 130 deaths and wounded hundreds more, sending shockwaves through France and the wider world.
I saw all these men running in all the direction, people just in front here, under the table, and the people shooting down.
Massive manhunts for the culprits were launched immediately, and the French government declared a state of emergency. The tragedy intensified debates over immigration, security, and the fight against extremism. A black mark on the city's collective recent memory, Pray for Paris became a symbol of resilience in the face of unchecked terror.
It feels like a never-ending horror movie. It feels like first of all, it felt like it wasn't real when it happened. And I know everyone says this, but when these kind of things happen, you don't think it would ever happen to you. So initially, I couldn't process it.
2016, Zika virus outbreak.
Every case of microcephaly is different, but many doctors and scientists say the big rise in cases has a common cause: a mosquito carrying the Zika virus.
Before the COVID-19 outbreak, another virus took the world by storm. In 2016, the Zika virus spread rapidly across the Americas, carried by Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. Infections were mild and even asymptomatic, but Zika's real effects were seen in severe birth defects, including microcephaly in newborns. The outbreak caused widespread fear, particularly among pregnant women and families.
If they stop taking these medications, they have more seizures. We already struggle to pay for this medicine, and sometimes even in the pharmacies, we are unable to find it. We must go to several pharmacies to find it.
One country that was badly hit was Brazil. The virus led to public health emergencies and travel advisories and reignited discussions on the role of climate change in expanding mosquito habitats. Cases declined in the years to follow, but the outbreak was a stark reminder that emerging diseases are quickly becoming global health threats.
Right now in Pinellas County, crews are doing door-to-door surveys where they ask you to submit to a urine sample, tell the health department if you're feeling bad. Even if you're not feeling bad, please submit to a urine sample, because guess what, guys? Some of the people in South Florida who tested positive didn't even have symptoms of Zika, and they ended up having the infection when they were tested.
2017, Rohingya Crisis.
The government denies them citizenship and claims they're illegal immigrants that have crossed over from Bangladesh, making them essentially a stateless people.
Assalamu alaikum. Ara Rohingya zati. Ara hokkan. Ara dunyatun sai.
The United Nations labeled it as a, quote, textbook example of ethnic cleansing. For the Rohingya Muslim minority, it was nothing short of a nightmare. In 2017, Myanmar's military launched a brutal crackdown on the Rohingya in Rakhine State. Villages were burned, followed by mass killings, sexual violence, and other atrocities.
The Burmese government has kept out independent witnesses to its cleansing of Rohingya from Rakhine. But the military's past caring who sees its campaign of fiery terror, and we had a grandstand view.
Over 700,000 Rohingya fled to neighboring Bangladesh in one of the world's largest migrations. The crisis drew global condemnation, but meaningful international action was limited. The Rohingya crisis is an example of how ethnic violence can escalate when unchecked, and how the world continues to struggle in providing an effective response when it happens.
They'd been hiding out for close to a week to avoid detection along the border. This, a first meal without having to watch their backs.
2018, Iran nuclear deal collapse.
Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States.
In 2018, President Donald Trump announced the United States' departure from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iran nuclear deal. The move led Tehran to resume uranium enrichment activities. Reigniting tensions between Iran and the West, the collapse of the deal fueled fears of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. The geopolitical fallout of the deal's collapse, including proxy conflicts, heightened regional instability, and a loss of diplomatic influence in a region already fraught with political instability. For many, 2018 was a shift from delicate diplomacy to a more dangerous status quo.
There's no plan B for dealing with Iran's nuclear program, increasing the risk of confrontation.
2019, COVID-19 pandemic begins.
Testing capacity was limited back then, so no one can really say how many people were infected.
But studies done since then have revealed the lingering effects of infection, particularly on psychological well-being.
When reports of a mysterious pneumonia-like illness came out of Wuhan, China in late 2019, the world did not care. But by March 2020, COVID-19 had shut down the world. Countries went into lockdown, economies slowed to a crawl, healthcare systems got stretched beyond their limits, and the world fell into darkness.
How quick and stark it was. The incongruous sight of a field hospital in Central Park, a tourist hotspot, now called the hot zone.
The virus spread, exacerbated by a global aviation industry that connected nearly every corner of the globe. Claiming millions of lives, COVID forced society to adapt to masks, social distancing, and remote living and working conditions. Conspiracy theories and misinformation continued to muddy public health efforts. Meanwhile, vaccine rollouts became a triumph of science and a political flashpoint. The effects of the pandemic are still being felt.
Public transport in Wuhan is suspended. Locals are wearing masks and looking very anxious. Also, very few people are out on the streets after the news came out.
2020, Beirut port explosion.
It's heartbreaking. It's too much. And I don't even like to see the video anymore of the actual explosion.
In August 2020, the citizens of Beirut, Lebanon experienced one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history. The blast was caused by improperly stored ammonium nitrate. The resulting explosion flattened entire neighborhoods, shattered windows, and killed over 200 people who were caught in its path. Thousands were injured, and hundreds of thousands who were within the blast zone were left homeless.
Beirut's port is in the heart of the capital, along a busy highway and close to densely populated neighborhoods.
Drone and witness footage of the mushroom cloud stunned viewers worldwide. The explosion further deepened Lebanon's dire economic and political crises. People rose in nationwide protests against corruption and government negligence. The incident was an example of the grim consequences that can result from combining dangerous mismanagement and complacency with volatile materials.
This wasn't just an accident, but the result of everything that people here hate about their government: incompetence, negligence, and corruption. Because the really crazy thing is that the dangerous chemicals that exploded had been sitting there in the port for 6 years, and nobody had done anything about it.
2021, Taliban retakes Afghanistan.
Do you really believe that the Taliban would ever support a democracy? Do you honestly believe that?
I think we can convince them.
After nearly 2 decades, the U.S. military concluded its presence in Afghanistan on August 30th, 2021. Their departure was met with an immediate collapse of the Afghan government. Scenes from Kabul airport showed Afghan civilians clinging to departing aircraft in their desperation to find a safe haven.
Extraordinary and harrowing footage emerged of people desperately trying to get onto planes, of U.S. helicopters being used to clear people from the runway.
The rapid fall of the Afghan government, followed by scenes of the evacuation, were haunting symbols of the chaos to unfold. The Taliban swept back into power with astonishing speed. The international audience fell into a heated debate over foreign policy, military strategy, and whether the sacrifices made over 20 years had been in vain. The U.S. military's withdrawal was a geopolitical shockwave and a human tragedy.
Already we've seen some gunmen who look like Taliban on the streets, and all of the government checkpoints, all the police, all the soldiers, they're gone.
2022, Russian invasion of Ukraine.
We were here 8 years ago when Russia tried to take it. And without a doubt, they will try again.
February 24th, 2022 marked the day Europe witnessed its largest military invasion since World War II. Russia turned heads by leading a full-scale assault on Ukraine. The invasion was widely condemned around the world and led to a cascade of sanctions against Russia. Cities like Mariupol and Kharkiv were on the receiving end of relentless shelling and a looming humanitarian crisis. Millions of Ukrainians fled, triggering a fast-growing refugee crisis.
The Ukrainian military has a substantial size. It's around 250,000 troops, and then when you add in all the other security services and volunteers, it will be larger than that.
The world watched anxiously as the invasion gradually reshaped global energy markets, disrupted grain exports, and reignited Cold War-era tensions. For much of 2022, the war teased a frightening premonition of an all-out war within Europe, a possibility which continued long past 2022.
What's your message to Vladimir Putin today?
Vladimir Putin, please, go out to our country. Go out, go out. We don't want you. We don't want war, and we don't want you.
2023, Israel-Hamas War.
We have an enormous amount of investments. People are coming, and they'll continue to come for everything that we're doing, not only the economy and the technology of today, but the technology of the future.
On October 7th, 2023, Hamas launched an unprecedented attack on Israel. Thousands of rockets bombarded southern Israeli towns. This was followed by a head-on assault by Hamas militants. The attack left more than 1,000 dead and sparked a swift and intense military response from Israel, with neighborhoods being reduced to rubble.
And then this war started. They destroyed every hospital, every school, every education place. The starvation was the most effective weapon have been used.
Hamas's actions sparked international outrage. The Israeli response has also been heavily criticized, and in the years since has seen tens of thousands of Palestinians, many civilians, killed. Adherents on both sides are passionate, and it stands as a deeply unsettling reminder of how quickly long-standing conflicts can explode into all-out war.
The intensification began hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio assured Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of unwavering U.S. support during a trip to Jerusalem.
2024, climate-fueled extreme weather.
I've heard people saying that this is the new normal. Given that we are currently on track for 2.6 degrees of warming, or thereabouts, within this century, we are only halfway to the new normal.
2024 was the year when climate change went from prediction to reality. Breaking news headlines covered a relentless onslaught of climate-fueled disasters, from unprecedented heat waves in Europe and devastating wildfires in Canada and the Mediterranean, to record-breaking floods in Asia and catastrophic hurricanes in the Atlantic.
Tuesday afternoon, the wildfire south of the town had burned more than 6,000 hectares. By evening, Jasper had been fully evacuated. Authorities say only about 40 people refused to leave.
Climate change was forcefully felt. An ominous combo of higher sea surface temperatures, shifting weather patterns, and prolonged droughts resulted in major agricultural losses and the displacement of millions. With mounting pressure from the public, governments came together to accelerate climate policies. Recovery costs skyrocketed, serving as a harsh reminder that climate change was no longer a distant threat, but the new normal.
11 named storms spawned in the Atlantic Basin from late September on, compared to just 4 during the same time period in 2023.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. 2025, Myanmar Earthquake.
Satellites show how street after street, suburb after suburb are in ruins.
It doesn't seem like there's a building that's not affected in some way.
Registering over 7.5 on the Richter scale, a massive earthquake flattened villages and destroyed Myanmar's infrastructure in March 2025. Persistent aftershocks left survivors in a state of constant fear for days. Amid political instability and ongoing humanitarian challenges, the earthquake crippled healthcare and emergency systems as rescue teams struggled to help survivors.
Our rescue team is working hard to return the bodies of those who have died to their families. And after 5 days, it's very distressing to see the condition of the body.
In remote, landslide-blocked areas, coordinated relief efforts became a logistical nightmare. As tremors reached neighboring countries, it stoked fears of secondary quakes. Far from just a natural disaster, the Myanmar earthquake was a cocktail of humanitarian and political crises rolled into one.
In Myanmar's second-largest city, there's panic on the streets. Mandalay, 10 miles from the epicenter, is home to 1.5 million people. Buildings dangerously disfigured and fallen in on themselves after the earth moved beneath them.
Which of these shocking events do you remember most vividly? Let us know in the comments.
The earthquake was felt hundreds of miles away in southwest China, a glimpse of its ferocity and the fear that accompanied it.